Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Megan, and I am with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission here in the state of Illinois. And I'm joined today by some lovely panelists who are going to be speaking to you today. I do just have a little rundown for you as we get started. I'm going to share my screen. So thank you for joining us, of course, and then to be able to ask questions, what you can do is the Q&A will be located at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to ask any questions that you have during the presentation, but know that your camera and microphone are off. While you can see and hear us, we cannot hear and see you, but know that the session is being recorded for you. So in case that you missed something or you want to hear something again, you're more than welcome to view the recording on the IACAC website. But otherwise than that, I will hand it over to Paul, and you guys will have a great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan. So hello, everyone. As Megan said, my name is Paul LaPlante. I'm an admissions counselor with the University of Utah, and I am joined today by Sam. Sam, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, y'all. My name is Sam Phillips. I use the he, him, his pronouns. I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I'm here at the University of Utah in my 4th year studying biomedical engineering and minoring in chemistry.
Great. Thank you, Sam. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started today. As Megan mentioned, there is a Q&A function. I'm going to address all of the questions that come up during today's presentation at the end of the presentation. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring you or that I hate you or anything. I will address all of the questions at the end. Sam will also jump in a few times during my presentation to share some of his experiences on campus. And I'm really excited for you guys to learn about what the University of Utah has to offer. So as we're getting started, here's kind of some general information about the University of Utah. The University of Utah is a global institution with our main campus located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Our second campus is in Incheon, South Korea. Our main campus has just over 24,000 undergraduate students with around 4,000 first-time freshmen. Even with that relatively large number, our student to faculty ratio is still 17:1. This means that for every 17 students on campus, we have 1 professor or faculty member. For a university of our size, I think this number is quite small and really helps you get to know your professor as well as other students better. This is also shown by our average class size, which is 23 students. Again, if you're comparing us to other universities in the Pac12 or in the Big Ten, I think you will see that 23 students for the average class size is really quite small, which makes it really nice for getting to know your professors better and getting some more discussion and question time in classes. Our faculty are also extremely renowned and awarded throughout the world, with receiving over 880 faculty awards. We are a Research One university and a member of the Association of American Universities that has just 65 members, meaning that we are on the leading edge of innovation and scholarship. The University of Utah, like I said, is located in Salt Lake City, Utah. When I talk about the U's location and Salt Lake City as a whole, I kind of like to describe it as a Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana situation, having the best of both worlds. So those both worlds are a relatively large city of Salt Lake City that offers things like a professional sports team in the Utah Jazz, a variety of different restaurants and art and cultural experiences, and a ton of different shopping, pretty much everything that you could ask for in a big city. We also have a lot of great public transportation, and that's free for all students who attend the U to use things like our bus system and our above grounds rail system. Now, the other half of the best of both worlds are the beautiful mountains. Excuse me. So we are located on the eastern side of Salt Lake City, and just east of us are the Wasatch Mountains. The Wasatch Mountains are great for utilizing for things like hiking, mountain biking, rock climbing, camping, and of course, downhill skiing and snowboarding. We have a variety of world-class resorts with less than an hour away from campus, places like Park City Mountain, Alta, Snowbird, which it looks like Sam is using in his awesome background right there, and a few other places as well. So we have for our students, the great downtown city options as well as the great outdoor options. And then expanding just a little bit further, the state of Utah has 5 national parks. Places like Zion National Park and Canyonlands are some of the most famous national parks in the world, and they're just a few hours from campus, a really popular destination for students to maybe take a weekend off and go head down to the national parks and see some of the beauty that the state of Utah has to offer. Now focusing in a little bit more on our different academic programs. At the University of Utah, we have 18 different colleges with over 150 academic programs. That's a lot. I'm going to highlight a few of them here, which obviously I won't have the chance to talk about all 150 programs, but right after this, I will share a few of our more popular programs. Sam, I think now would be a good time for you to share a little bit more about your academic experiences at the U. I know you've told us your major, but could you tell us some things that you found, why you enjoy being a student at the U, maybe some beneficial experiences or a great professor that we have here?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say one of my favorite things about not only my major, but all the faculty on campus is just how accessible they are. So I'm interested in going into medicine. And for example, some of the things that I've done, I have emailed surgeons or professors that are doing interesting research or working in a field that I think is interesting and met with them on a whim and talked with them about their life and how they got there and if they have any advice. And so that's been really beneficial for me throughout my educational experience, just preparing myself for whatever comes next. And it really helps that our faculty is that willing to meet with students and really fuel that curiosity for education.
Great, thanks, Sam. And I'm sure having the University of Utah's hospital right here on campus has been extremely beneficial for you as a pre-med student as well. So as I said, I would like to take this time to highlight a few of our academic programs that we have on campus at the U. The first of those being the David Eccles School of Business. The David Eccles School of Business offers 9 undergraduate majors. Not sure which one is for you? You could start with the Business Scholars Program. The Business Scholars allows you to try all the areas of business before selecting the one which you'd like to focus on. Business Scholar students also meet with business leaders and visit Fortune 500 companies. In the David Eccles School of Business, we offer the University of Utah Venture Fund. This is the world's largest independently managed fund that is run entirely by students. The students here have access to over $700,000 of real-world money that they are trading on the U.S. stock exchange and getting that hands-on experience to really work and manage that portfolio right away as an undergraduate student. I think that's an opportunity that you may not find at a lot of other universities, and I'm really proud and happy that I'm able to share that with you. Another amazing program that we have, another amazing college at the University of Utah, is the College of Engineering. At the College of Engineering, cutting edge research is the name of our game. We have 26 research centers, a freshman engineering scholars program that allows first-year students to tour research facilities in the fall and experience weekly instruction in an engineering research lab in the spring. The Milken Institute is ranked #1 at the University of Utah in the transfer of technology to commercialization. Our competition, Stanford, Caltech, and MIT. Why did we do so well? An entrepreneurial spirit is embedded in the College of Engineering's DNA. That entrepreneurial spirit helped develop the Luke arm, which is pictured above. Named after Luke Skywalker, the Luke arm is a prosthetic arm that can both move and feel. So these are some really awesome opportunities that we have both at the College of Engineering and the College of Business. And since we have Sam with us here in our presentation today, I would like to tell you a little bit about our pre-professional program as well. If your goal is medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, law, pharmacy, or physical therapy, you need a roadmap. Our pre-professional advising program gives you a robust roadmap and supports you along the way. Of course, you'll have excellent coursework at a Tier 1 research university. In addition, they will help you with all the extracurricular preparation that is also essential to developing a strong application to these other schools after you graduate at the U. And I'm sure Sam would agree that, as he said before, a lot of different great experiences and opportunities to help you explore your career path, as well as build that resume for when you're applying to whatever professional program you would like. And one last thing that I would like to highlight about our academics at the University of Utah is the Hinckley Institute of Politics. The Hinckley Institute of Politics offers students a wide variety of internship opportunities in Utah, in the United States, and abroad. We actually had students who were on the floor during the first vote for Brexit in England, as well as internships in Washington, D.C. for political offices, foreign affairs, and nonprofits. The Hinckley Institute is also a part of Harvard's campaign for political and civic engagement, which is an initiative throughout the US to get students more engaged in things like this at a younger age. And I would be foolish not to let you all know that tomorrow the Hinckley Institute will be hosting the 2020 vice presidential debate, allowing faculty and students to attend the debate and volunteer to assist in running it. Now focusing a little bit less on academics and kind of focusing in on some other things that we have to offer at the University of Utah. And then after that, I will get into admissions as well as some different costs and things like that. Making your home away from home. So the University of Utah offers incredible housing options ranging from a living learning community, which is focused around a theme to the students, to a thing like a student apartment, which is a lot more kind of individualized, almost more of an adult off-campus living experience. We offer single-sex, co-ed, and gender-neutral housing options. Our newest residence hall is Callart Village, which just opened this fall. When I was talking with students previously, I told them that they could be the first students to live in this house. Well, that is not now the option, but you could be the second student ever to live in this residence hall, which is still pretty darn good. It is at the University of Utah. We do not have a housing requirement, but we highly encourage students to live on campus, at least for the first year. Data shows that students who live on campus are more likely to have a higher retention rate and a higher GPA than students who live off campus. Sam, did you live on campus at all during your time at the U?
Yeah, I lived on campus for my first 2 years.
Could you tell us about that experience a little bit? What residence hall did you live in? Do you think it was beneficial? How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, so my first year, I lived at the Marriott Honors Community, which is an apartment-style housing. So I had 7 roommates in an 8-person apartment. My second year, I lived in Shoreline, which is part of our upperclassmen housing, in a 3-person apartment. I loved it both times. The people I lived with are still some of my best friends here today. And for me, it was all about just being in that school mindset all the time. And so it made it a lot easier for me to study, and that transition coming into college and getting those good study practices under my belt, it just really helped a lot.
Thanks, Sam. Sam, have you had a chance to see Callart Village?
I have. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm honestly really jealous I'm not an incoming freshman or a current freshman student, because I would love to live there. It really seems just absolutely amazing. Compared to some of the other college dorms I saw when I was touring, this really blows it out of the water.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I always say it's too nice for freshmen to be able to live in, because I never had such an option when I was an undergrad either. Thanks for sharing that with us, Sam. So like Sam said, we have a variety of housing options at the U, and I really do encourage students that I meet with to live on campus your first year and then kind of explore your other options after that. It really is beneficial in terms of staying in that student mindset. And also you're more likely to go to things like club meetings and things like that, as well as maybe study groups, and are far less likely to skip class if it's just a short walk away rather than having to deal with commuting to campus. Great, thank you, Sam. And also on campus, right near Callart Village, we have the Student Life Center. This is basically our gym on campus, but it has a lot more than what your average gym would offer. So it has a ton of different cardio machines, as well as an indoor track. You can see both of those pictured. You can see the guy kind of getting his pump on, lifting some weights there. We have a ton of different free weights and basically every single weight machine that you could ever desire. An indoor rock wall that is 4 stories tall. Right there in the bottom, you can see a student taking advantage of that, as well as an indoor bouldering gym, and then courts for basketball, volleyball, an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And there's also some areas here at the Student Life Center where students who are maybe interested in doing some sort of outdoor exercise and activities, can have the chance to rent that equipment at a very discounted price. So things like If you want to try downhill skiing or snowboarding, there's options to rent that gear as well. And it's really is a pretty affordable price compared to some of the other competitors in Salt Lake City, or to rent from the ski hills themselves. Creating your signature experience. So we talk about this a lot at the University of Utah, is the creating your signature experience. And the best way to start doing that is by joining one of our over 600 student clubs or organizations. At the U, we have a ton to offer in areas like this. Things like Greek life, leadership opportunities, a lot of different majors will have a club or an organization, variety of outdoor clubs, cultural organizations, religious or political affiliations, as well as some things that are a little bit less serious, like the Super Smash Bros. Club, where students get together and play Mario Smash Bros. Or the Mountain Dew Dorito Cupcake Club, where students get together and eat junk food. It really can be a wide range of different things available. And that's why we call it your signature experience, because it's up to you to decide what you get involved with. Sam, obviously you're a university ambassador, giving tours to prospective families and participating in events like this. What other clubs or organizations are you involved in at the U?
Yeah, throughout my time, I've done quite a bit here at the University of Utah, but currently outside of the University Ambassador Program, I am also the president of my fraternity, the Alpha Tau Omega fraternity here on campus. I'm also the executive director of a local nonprofit, Project Embrace, that started on our campus through one of our entrepreneurial institutes.
Great, thank you, Sam. And Sam, since you are a president of a fraternity, could you talk a little bit about Greek life? It's a lot more than just some guys getting together to hang out, right? You guys do a ton of different leadership and volunteer activities as well.
Yeah. So one of the things I really like to say is our Greek life here at the University of Utah is very different from that Greek life stereotype. Kind of what you might think of when you think of those typical college movies or a typical Southern school. We really try and get away from that here. It's a great community. We're there to build each other up during those successes in life and support each other through the lows or the hardships. Outside of that, outside of having fun and supporting each other academically, we also, every organization here is involved with a philanthropic organization. So my fraternity, every Black Friday, we collect a bunch of money and create care packages and distribute them to the homeless people of Salt Lake, and then donate to one of our homeless shelters here in the Valley. So all around, we all just want to build up the Salt Lake community and support it as best as we can.
Wow, that's so great, Sam. Thank you for sharing that. So for any prospective students in here who are maybe on the fence about Greek life or anything like that, if you do end up coming to the U, I would definitely suggest that you explore it at the very least, and maybe you can meet some awesome people like Sam and get involved in some awesome volunteer activities as well. Another great student organization that we have at the University of Utah is the Mighty Utah Student Section, or the MUS. So this is our home fan cheering section for all of our home sporting events. This does happen for every single sport, but football is the biggest. This is what we have pictured right here. A giant sea of red. You can see all the students up on their feet and cheering. And if you look closely in the middle of the picture, you'll see a guy there holding a sign that says the third down jump. The third down jump is the Mighty Utah Student Section's signature move. This is what we do when the opposing defense has a third down, or the opposing offense has a third down, and our defense is trying to get a stop. The whole crowd goes absolutely insane, and our crowd is jumping up and down so hard that this actually registers as a small earthquake on the Richter scale in one of the seismographs that we have on campus. So you can say that our fan section is literally ground moving. That is my one and only pun of the day. I apologize for that. And I should also mention that just last year, we were ranked 5th in the nation by ESPN for crowd noise and school spirit. So if you love to go and attend sporting events and really cheer on your fellow students and classmates, really cheer on your school, the MUS is something that you really should look into when you come to the University of Utah. As I've briefly mentioned before, we are a member of the Pac12, or the Pacific Athletic Conference. The Pac12 is made up of the top academic universities in the West. I know the students in this presentation are mostly from Illinois, so think of the Pac-12 as like the Big Ten of the West Coast. We are nicknamed the Conference of Champions, as the Pac-12 has won more NCAA national championships than any other conference in history. The U competes in a variety of sports such as football, basketball, baseball, softball, and gymnastics. And not only are we held to the same athletic, but also academic standards as the rest of our peers in the Pac-12. Now I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit about applying to the University of Utah, as well as a variety of information kind of about our costs and other things like that. So to apply to the University of Utah, you can either go to admissions.utah.edu or commonapp.org. We are on the Common application, so we're really excited that students can apply to us relatively easily. 2 important dates and deadlines to mark on your calendar. We have December 1st is our Early Action 1 application date, and February 1st is our Early Action 2 application date. If you apply by December 1st, you will be considered for early admissions and automatic merit scholarship consideration. Also, you will receive your admissions notification on January 15th. If you apply by February 1st, you will still be considered for merit scholarships, and you will be notified on March 15th. If you apply after February 1st, unfortunately, you will no longer be able to be considered for merit-based scholarships, and your admissions decision will be received on a rolling basis. So we are requiring official transcripts to be sent from your high school that can be done electronically and free of charge through the Common App. So hopefully there will not be any issues there. And we are so pleased to announce that this year we are SAT and ACT optional for fall 2021 admissions. So we are not requiring the SAT or the ACT for admissions to the University of Utah, nor for merit-based scholarship considerations. You can apply and be considered for scholarships without taking those tests. If you did take the test and felt you did well, you are definitely allowed to include that information, and it will help us get a bigger picture of who you are as a student. But if you did not take it, or if you maybe didn't do so well, we are allowing you to be admitted to the university and to receive merit-based scholarships without us having your test scores. And that brings us to our next step, which is our holistic review process at the University of Utah. So that will be talked about a little bit on the left side of your screen right there, and it outlines that we have primary factors and secondary factors, which is 100% true. Our primary factors are academic performance and preparation. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot to you maybe as a student. So as an admissions counselor, I can tell you what that means. By academic performance and preparation, one would be the ACT or SAT. So if you have that and like that considered, great. But other things that we look at are things like grade trend as well as course rigor and overall GPA, of course. So things like taking AP, IB, dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment, anything like that, or an honors course if your school offers it, those all look really good on a college application and show me as an admissions counselor that you were challenging yourself in high school. So that's what it means by primary factors for the academic preparation. Those are the things that we look for. And then secondary factors can really be a lot of other things. Involvement in clubs or organizations, leadership or volunteer roles, involvement in maybe like a musical group or things like that. If you played sports, or a team captain in sports, anything like that that you feel boosts your application as a student are things that you are welcome and encouraged to include in your application, and things that we will also factor into whether or not you'll be accepted to the University of Utah. So after talking about coming to the U, of course, the question you may be asking yourself is, how much will this cost me? Seeing as this presentation is for Illinois students, I'm going to talk about the cost on the right side over there, the out-of-state cost, with tuition and fees being around $30,000 for the academic year, and room and board being around $12,000 for the academic year, bringing the total estimate to just under $42,000 for the academic year. Now, I know that seems like a lot, and I'm going to talk about how to make the number a little bit smaller overall, but it should also be noted that the room and board is a high estimate and that there are more affordable room and board options on campus. Which brings me to affordability. So as I was talking about some important dates to apply to the U, you should also apply for admissions and file the FAFSA by February 1st to be considered for need-based scholarships. Last year, the University of Utah awarded just under $100 million in scholarships and grants. That includes need-based and merit-based. So that really is a lot of money that we have to share with our students. We are a WUI participating school, but that matters more for students on the West Coast, so I'm not going to talk about that. FAFSA is very important for students to fill out if they would like to be considered for need-based scholarships. And then last but certainly not least, residency. So going back one slide, you can see the difference in cost is about $20,000 for an in-state resident versus an out-of-state resident. But now I'm going to tell you all as out-of-state residents how after your first year at the U, you can be paying that nice smaller number. So what that means is you have to become a resident of the state of Utah, and that can be done in 3 easy steps. The first is to be physically present in the state of Utah for 12 continuous months. There is a 29-day grace period, so you can travel home for Thanksgiving, winter break, spring break, and a few days in the summer. It basically means you should plan to spend the summer of your first year taking classes in Utah. Also, to prove financial independence, all this means is your parents can't claim you on your taxes, but don't worry, you save a lot more money by becoming a resident than you would for being claimed on your parents' taxes. And the third is to establish ties to the state of Utah, meaning a driver's license or a voter registration. After you've done those 3 things, you can apply for residency reclassification, and by the start of your sophomore year, be paying $20,000 less in tuition. What an amazing amount of savings. And having talked about the cost and everything like that, I would like to end by imagining value. This is our promise to you. The University of Utah has the highest graduation rate among public Utah institutions, the lowest student debt rate for all public institutions in the state of Utah, and our graduates earn $17,000 more than the national median. So those first 2 stats are, yes, impressive for the state of Utah, but when comparing us to the rest of the nation to see that our graduates earn $17,000 more, that really is quite impressive. So I hope that you do leave this presentation thinking about what awesome opportunities the University of Utah has to offer, as well as the value that a degree from here will offer you. With all of that, I am going to be concluding my presentation by inviting you to explore our campus community. Currently, we are not offering in-person tours, but we are working on a plan to begin to do so soon. And we have a plethora of virtual events, some occurring basically every single day, that you can find out about at admissions.utah.edu/virtual-events. You may get to see my smiling face again. And if you sign up for one of those and don't see my face, but would like to again, you can reach out to me. I am your admissions counselor for the whole state of Illinois. Here's all of my contact information. My name is Paula Plant. My email address is just my name with a dot in it at utah.edu, and there is my phone number as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and allow the last 15 minutes to be open up for questions to either myself or to Sam. And please feel free to ask us any question that you might have, whether it's about the University of Utah or about college life in general. I'm a recent college graduate myself. Sam is a current college student, so we'd love to be able to help you guys out with any questions. So I'm not seeing any questions right now, and I'll give you all a few seconds to think about that. But since we're still here, why don't I ask Sam a few questions? So Sam, you said you're from Nevada originally, that's correct?
New Mexico. So
New
almost.
Mexico, I apologize. So what brought you to the University of Utah as an out-of-state student?
Yeah, so originally it was a skiing trip, and to go skiing, I had to go on a campus tour for the University of Utah and Utah State. But after taking that campus tour, it was definitely one of the front runners on my list. Just the general campus feel of walking around and feeling like I could envision myself there, people smiling at me as an absolute stranger, just the little things really meant the world to me. And as a skiing enthusiast, it definitely helped that my first campus tour was in a blizzard. So that made me pretty excited to enjoy the great outdoors here.
Yeah, they definitely do say that here at the U or in Salt Lake City in general that we have some of the greatest snow on earth, and that was part of the reason that brought me out here for a career as well, was being attracted to the skiing in the mountains for sure. So Sam, as an out-of-state student, you're a little bit further away from home than some of our students. Do you find that challenging at all, or have you found the adjustment of coming from a different state? Do you feel the culture in Utah is very different or very similar to New Mexico? How has your experience been for that?
Yeah, so I think it's been a really wonderful journey. It's definitely had its ups and downs. Luckily, I'm not too far away from home. It's a 10-hour drive for me. So I go home when I can to see friends and family. In terms of the culture, I definitely had a little bit of culture shock coming to Utah, since New Mexico is a primarily Hispanic state. So Utah has a very different culture, but still a culture I enjoy. At least within my social circles, we spend a lot of time outdoors. And so that's been really fun, being so close to skiing and fishing and a lot of mountain biking. So that's been lovely.
Definitely. Thanks, Sam. So I've just received a question in the chat that says, what % of students are involved with Greek life? How many sororities and fraternities are there? What % of students live on campus? Sam, actually off the top of my head, I'm not sure what percentage of students are involved in Greek life. Is that something that you can answer for us?
Yeah, so it's pretty small. It fluctuates, but it's anywhere from 6 to 8%. So it's a really small community, which I kind of like. You get to see a lot of the same faces, and it's a pretty tight-knit group. But that doesn't mean that people who are interested in Greek life are not able to break into that group. We're very accepting of anybody who's interested in Greek life. In terms of the numbers of fraternities and sororities, I believe that there are 11 fraternities and 7 sororities. And then to answer your last question, what percentage of students live on campus? I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it's roughly 6,500 students that live on campus.
I think it's right around like 15 or 20% of our total student population lives on campus. And then about half of all incoming freshmen choose to live on campus their first year are the numbers that I usually tell students. Does that seem about right? Sam, did you go through the residency process by any chance?
I did.
And how is that? Is it as easy as I'm making it sound for these students coming from Illinois? Is that something that you would recommend to them in terms of the effort to the savings?
Yeah, I really would. I mean, not being able to leave the state for more than 29 cumulative days is definitely daunting. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's all about how you play your cards. So for me, I went home during fall break because I wanted to see friends and family, and I knew that's probably when I was going to be the most homesick. I went home for most of winter break, and then I stayed here for spring break so I could ski. And then over the summer, I took classes since our tuition for any summer classes is in-state rates. It doesn't matter if you're still an out-of-state student or an in-state student, it's the same rate. So it was really easy. I applied for residency and they saw that I had taken in-person classes all 3 semesters and gave me that green check mark, so I was good to go.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sam, and I'm sure you're really happy to be saving around $20,000 a year as well for the rest of your time here. So I really can't emphasize that enough to the students in here. Are there any other questions that are popping up in the chat? If not, I'm just going to we have about 10 more minutes in our presentation here. So if you don't have any questions, students who are attending our chat, thank you so much. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions or anything pops up. I would love to chat with you some more. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and conclude our presentation now and still remain here for the remaining amount of time. So if any students want to hang around and ask another question or two, feel free to do so, but this will conclude our presentation.
Sam, are you guys all done?
We just got one more question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yep, I'm still here. I meant to mute my mic and accidentally hid my video there. What kind of company placements are there from a business school or internship opportunity? So that is a great question. And the answer is really just a lot, to say the least. So the Eccles School of Business specifically has a ton of different internships, some in Salt Lake City, but also throughout the US. And actually, we host a few college fairs every semester where employers from Salt Lake City come to the U to offer both internship and job opportunities exclusively to our students. These jobs aren't posted to the public. They're being offered directly to us. Sam, do you have anything else to add about scholarship or internship opportunities?
Yeah, so specifically from the business school, my friends in business have done all sorts of things. I had a few friends that have worked for Adobe, a few friends that worked for private wealth equity firms because they're interested in going into finance. So again, it's really about putting yourself out there, and there's a lot of great opportunities through the U, but you are not limited to that. I was able to do a summer research internship at the University of Southern California's medical school. And so we want to support our students and help you be successful. And so you can use our professional advising or pre-professional advising services to help gear you up for any of those interviews.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. And as what you just ended with there kind of leads us to our next question, which says, I'd like to know more about your career placement services too. So our career placement services, as I mentioned, does host a variety of different college fairs, job fairs, but they also do some other things too. So this semester alone, they have 6 virtual job fairs that are available. So that's basically one every other week. And they also offer appointments for mock interviews, do things like resume and cover letter editing, and even have a spot where they host jobs for students to go look for online. Is there anything that I'm missing about that, Sam, that you feel that the Career Services Center does that you want to share?
Yeah, I'll just build it up. In terms, like for me specifically, looking at going to medical school, they have talked a lot about preparing me for those med school interviews and helping me write my personal statement. And so that's something that I'm working with them on now. In terms of these virtual job fairs, I know that sounds really strange. One of my best friends recently went through one. And honestly, I hear that it's better than an in-person job fair. You sign up for time slots and get to meet with these company representatives and get to ask them a bunch of questions. So despite all the challenges the pandemic has thrown our way, we're still doing our very best to set our students up for success.
Yeah, and I think that's just a testament to kind of the way we try to do everything at the University of Utah. The admissions office is now doing all of these virtual events and trying to meet students and reach out to you as well as possible virtually. And basically every department on campus, like Sam said, the Career Services is now doing all of these new different virtual events and really trying to not let negative things affect us at all and adapt our best and move forward with that. Then I see another question that says, what percentage of students are in-state students versus out-of-state? I believe it's around 2/3 in-state and 1/3 out-of-state. So about 65 to 68% in-state and about 35% out-of-state students.
Yeah, I'll just build off of that real quick. A lot of the students living in our on-campus housing their first year tend to be from out of state. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes you'll get to meet a lot of people that are going through a similar transition to you. And so that was really helpful for me coming from out of state and having the vast majority of my roommates be out of staters as well. So we were all able to kind of talk about the really great pieces of moving away from home, but also the challenges and support each other through that.
Yeah, that's great. It's really nice to be able to find your own community and work through some of the challenging parts of the transition from high school to college together. Thanks, Sam. Does anyone else have any other questions they would like to ask before concluding our presentation? We have just a few more minutes here. I am not seeing any. So once again, thank you everyone for attending and considering the University of Utah. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my email address one last time. It's Paul, P-A-U-L, .LaPlante, L-A-P-L-A-N-T, @utah.edu. And thank you everyone. Have a good luck the rest of your senior year and stay happy and healthy. Thank you, Sam, for joining me.
Thank you so much for today. What a great session. I wish I'd gone to the University of Utah, okay? Thank you so much, gentlemen, and thank you for attendees. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Everything went really well. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.